Welcome everyone. Our live coverage of SpainSat NG-1 mission launching from Space Coast, that is from Launch Complex 39A at Kennedy Space Center in Florida. Hope you all are enjoying and having a good day. If it's your first time here, hi, my name is Dipto Mitra. I'll be your host providing commentary for today's mission launch, and you are watching AstroYonder live.
Roger, 0G, and I feel fine. Capsule is turning around.
Houston, we see a nominal MECO. Welcome to space.
So today's launch is the 9th one from Space Coast, as SpaceX is on its way building their incredible launch cadence of this year. We are awaiting for a Falcon 9 liftoff at 8:34 p.m. Eastern Time from Florida for a southeasterly launch for SpaceX NG-1 satellite, SPAINSAT NG-1 satellite to a geosynchronous transfer orbit, often referred as GTO. Today's mission also marks 5th dedicated non-Starlink mission of the year for SpaceX. Before we dive in, on behalf of AstroYonder team and our awesome moderators, we want to thank all of you for joining us for today's launch. We are truly grateful to have you here, and a big thanks to our amazing YouTube community for being here today, supporting us as we provide detailed coverage of space launches complete with extensive stats and thorough insights. We really appreciate you being here. Now, just a heads up, it's me only managing the launch coverages on my own, so if we face any technical issues, please bear with me and hang tight. I will do my best to guide you through the upcoming Falcon 9 rocket launch happening in about 50 minutes from now. Big thanks to our amazing YouTube community once again for being here. Now let's get into the mission details. Today's weather for the launch looks quite promising with no issues, but once again we didn't receive any dedicated launch weather forecast from 45th Weather Squadron. Fingers crossed and hope the launch proceeds on time without significant delays. But if for some reason launch does not happen today, we do have a backup opportunity tomorrow, that is on Thursday, January 30th, with launch window opening at the same time as of today, that is 8:34 p.m. Eastern Time. Would really appreciate it if you guys could join us on the chat, let us know where you are joining from. Additionally, feel free to ask any question and share your opinion with us. Now let's take a look at today's payload details for the SpainSat New Generation 1 mission. Also requesting your patience as we provide detailed payload overview. It won't take much time. So the SpainSat New Generation 1, that is NG-1 mission, superheated by Hisdesat, a Spanish government satellite service company, represents a significant advancement in secure military communication for Spanish armed forces, NATO, and allied friendly countries. more than 40% developed by Spanish satellite industry. This satellite is developed in collaboration with Airbus Defence Space and Thales Alenia Space within the framework of a public-private collaboration between European Space Agency and the satellite operator Hisdesat called PACES 3. Satellite program called SPAINSAT NG consists of twin satellites SPAINSAT NG1 and NG2, which will replace the currently operational SPAINSAT and XStar Euro satellites, which are close to the end of their nominal useful life. Together, they are designed to provide effective command and control in operation of the armed forces beyond the line of sight in two-thirds of the Earth. Today's payload consists of SpainSat NG1 satellite only, which will replace the XStar Euro satellite. But here I would like to mention that we didn't got any specific details that whether it will be replacing the XStar Euro or the SpainSat. It will be either of them, but the most possible chances are that the SpainSat NG1 satellite will be replacing the XStar Euro. Now built upon Airbus Eurostar Neo platform, it features two flat active antennas dedicated to X-band operations, six parabolic steerable antennas for military Ka-band communication, and two UHF antennas offering robust and adaptable communication capabilities across multiple frequency bands. This advanced communication system allows the satellite to operate efficiently in X, military K, and UHF bands, making it a versatile asset for secure and encrypted communication. Airbus in space is responsible for the X-band payload, while Thales Alenia Space is in Spain is responsible for the UHF and Ka-band payloads. Notably, the inclusion of the UHF band is a new feature, which was not present in the previous SpainSat fleet, offering improved communication options for various military applications. SpainSat NG1 is having a fully flexible X-band payload with active antennas capable of in-orbit configuration. This flexibility allows for electronic reorientation of the beams to meet dynamic coverage needs. Another notable feature of the satellite is the deployable palette of individual steerable Ka-band antennas. And the X-band active antennas are the most challenging active antennas that have ever been developed. In Europe, positioning Hisdesat and the Spanish space industry at the edge of space technology. Additionally, an onboard digital processor interconnects the X and military Ka-band payloads, facilitating the cross-banding and rapid reconfiguration through a dedicated high-speed service link. The satellite's design incorporates advanced protection technologies, including anti-jamming, anti-spoofing measures, as well as hardening against high-altitude nuclear events. You might have heard that this satellite is nuclear proof, like it can be affected by any kind of nuclear activities, even if it is in space. And also, one thing I would like to mention here, that it has the capability of geotagging, that if anyone is having an intention to spoof the satellite can locate that from where this kind of illegal activities are going on. So now moving on, these features collectively enhance the satellite's capacity and adaptability, ensuring robust and secure communication. Powering the satellite are two deployable solar array wings and onboard battery system, ensuring consistent energy supply. With coverage extending from United States and South America through Middle East, Africa, and Europe, reaching as far as Singapore on the Asian continent, the satellite is positioned in such a way to provide extensive global service. Structurally, the satellite weighs approximately 6.1 tons, comparable to the size of a minibus. To maintain precise orbital positioning, SpainSat NG-1 utilizes an advanced ion propulsion system which is highly efficient in orbit maneuvering. The satellite is positioned in a geostationary orbit with an inclination of 30 degrees west, offering stable, reliable coverage for its target region. Whereas SpainSat 2, which will be launched later on, uh, it will be positioned in a same geostationary orbit but with an inclination of 29 degrees east. And the satellite is designed with the keeping longevity in mind. SpainSat NG-1 has an operational lifespan of 15 years, keeping it in service until 2040. So that's all about the payload for today's mission. Now, SpaceX is currently targeting a liftoff time of Falcon 9 from Kennedy Space Center at 8:34 p.m. Eastern Time on Wednesday, that is January 29th. So now let's take a look at the flight record for the booster supporting today's SpainSat NG-1 mission. Booster with tail number 1073 will be supporting today's mission. The booster's turnaround time as of today is 26 days. Today's booster with tail number 1073 has 20 previous flights, including missions like SES-22 for SES, a major telecommunication operator based in Luxembourg, iSpace Hakuto R Mission 1, a private Japanese uncrewed lunar landing mission built and operated by iSpace, but which was not successful. Now this time iSpace Hakuto R Mission 2 lunar lander, which got launched with Firefly Blue Ghost Mission 1, is now on its way to the moon. Firefly's Blue Ghost lunar lander is scheduled to land on the moon in March, followed by iSpace's lunar lander in April. Now, the next mission supported by today's booster was the Amazonas S for Hisdesat CRS-27, that is commercial resupply service mission to the International Space Station. Bandwagon 1, a new rideshare initiative for SpaceX launching 11 satellites for various customers. Next up is the NSIL GSAT-20 for New Space India Limited, developed by Indian Space Research Organization. And the most recent non-Starlink mission supported by this booster was the Thuraya 4 next generation satellite mission for UAE based Space 42 Thuraya, also known as EASat. And additionally, this booster supported 13 Starlink missions, now awaiting its 21st and final flight, just minutes away. The last mission supported by today's booster was the Thuraya 4 mission from Space Launch Complex 40 at Cape Canaveral on 3rd of January this year, marking SpaceX's first launch for 2025. Now let's have a look at the bar graph showing number of Falcon 9 launches each year. Before this upcoming launch, SpaceX completed its 12th Falcon 9 launch for this year with the Starlink 12-7 mission from Cape Canaveral on January 27th. Previously, SpaceX completed 132 launches of Falcon 9 and overall 134 launches last year, marking a year with the highest annual launches to date for SpaceX. Now, with today's launch of SpainSat NG-1 mission, the bar graph depicts 13 Falcon 9 launches for 2025 as SpaceX gears for another year full of record breakers and exciting upcoming missions. Now, according to Elon's tweet, possibly we could see around 180 Falcon 9 launches this year. Quite ambitious target, but hopefully we will get to see that. Now, if this stream fuels your love for space, give us a like. It's like fine-tuning the trajectory of our YouTube mission. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification so that you won't miss a single launch update. Now, please allow us a couple of seconds to check whether the launch is on time or not and to stay updated. Be tuned in here. We will be here only. Well, it's fine. SpaceX is sticking with the upcoming lift off time. No adjustments as of today. So I'm not going to discuss the pre-launch timeline. It's a typical Falcon 9 launch with no such deviations from other launches. So we will be discussing the post-launch timeline because today's one is a different mission profile. Just to give you a rough idea that how the mission events will be carried out. Now let's go ahead and have a look at the trajectory for today's mission. Falcon 9 leaving the pad from Launch Complex 39A from Kennedy Space Center with the SpainSat NG-1 satellite on board for a southeast trajectory heading into a geostationary transfer orbit indicated by that green line on your screen. The red line indicates where the Falcon 9 first stage will splash down after stage separation just a little later leaving Florida's Space Coast. This is going to be a expandable booster launch, so no recovery and no drone ship involved today. The estimated booster splashdown position is approximately 922 kilometers downrange, and the estimated fading recovery is approximately 1022 kilometers downrange. Now, currently, we know there are 3 in SpaceX drone ship fleet, although today's mission does not involve any drone ship because the booster will be expanded. But just to give you a rough idea about the stats for the drone ship, the slide is on your screen. As we know, of these three drone ships. Just read the instructions, and a short flight of Gravitas are stationed here in Florida, while of course I Still Love You is stationed in California. And we do expect the addition of a fourth drone ship likely early this year, as promised by SpaceX previously. Now, moving on to the fairing recovery, SpaceX will utilize a recovery vessel to retrieve them from Atlantic waters. The two halves of the payload fairing will be recovered slightly farther, approximately 100 kilometers downrange from where the first stage will splash down. After, they will smoothly splash down with the guidance of parachutes. So, today the booster will splash down as well as the fairing halves. We know SpaceX manufactures the fairing in-house with the total cost of two halves nearly $6 million. So no wonder that SpaceX aims to recover the fairings for repetitive use, following its same approach with rocket boosters, upholding the motto of reusability and sustainability. Now on your screen, you can see how a fairing recovery looks like and how a fairing recovery operations are being carried out. The recovery vessel on your screen is Doug performing the recovery operations, but today's supporting recovery vessel is Bob. Other recovery vessel Doug and Go Cosmos are staying moored as of now as they wait for their upcoming assignments. Now let's have a look through the post-launch timeline for Falcon 9 rocket passing these events following liftoff for the SpainSat NG-1 mission. At T plus 1 minute and 17 seconds, Falcon 9 will pass through max Q, a point of greatest aerodynamic pressure on the vehicle. Then a couple of different events coming up in rapid succession. First will be at T plus 2 minutes and 40 seconds, where first stage main engine cutoff will occur. Also, this event is referred as MECO, followed by a major milestone within 3 seconds at T plus 2 minutes and 43 seconds, where first and second stage will separate from each other. Just after 7 seconds later, second stage MVAC engine will ignite for the first time during today's flight, that is SES-1, at T plus 2 minutes and 50 seconds. Coming up next at T plus 3 minutes and 37 seconds mark, Falcon 9's payload fairing will be jettisoned, exposing the SpainSat NG-1 satellite to the vacuum of space. Now here is a short video of the fairing separation and MVAC ignition. You can see how the fairing halves separate, exposing the payload on board, the second stage to space, and the MVAC ignition. I hope you enjoyed this short clip. Now, as today the first stage booster will be expanded, so we won't have other milestones of entry burn, landing burn, and landing of the first stage booster. And we will be directly skipping to the next milestone in today's flight of the second stage mission into today's flight, that is for the second stage engine cutoff for the first time, that is SECO 1 at T plus 8 minutes into the flight. And following that event, we will enter into 19 minutes of coast phase as the vehicle ascends to its target orbit. At T plus 26 minutes and 37 seconds, the MVAC engine will reignite for the second time in today's flight, also known as SES-2, for a long 1 minute and 6 seconds of burn, ending at T plus 27 minutes and 43 seconds. And that event is also referred as SECO 2. Generally, this burn for Starlink missions lasts for 2 to 3 minutes maximum, but today it will be more long for 1 minute and 6 seconds of burn, because today's mission is all about performance, and for that only the booster has to be expanded. And well, one thing I forgot to mention that the Miko today, it will be happening 15 seconds later, generally, like compared to in general with the Starlink missions. So you can understand that how performance intensive today's flight profile is. Now moving on, we got done with the SECO. After SECO 2, another short coast phase of 3 minutes and 41 seconds. Following the SECO 2, which will set up the SPAINSAT NG1 satellite deployment at approximately 31 minutes and 24 seconds. So that was the mission profile for today's SpainSat NG1 mission. We will be, during those course phase, we will be again discussing about the payload or the stats, but still now we are having nearly 8 minutes left from the webcast to initiate. So let's just have a look at the stats for today's mission. Today's launch marks 441st SpaceX overall launch and the 5th dedicated non-Starlink launch of this year. This is going to be the 428th Falcon 9 launch to date, 21st flight of this particular Falcon 9 booster supporting today's mission, with tail number 1073 being in action after 26 days. Today's mission marks 13th Falcon 9 launch and SpaceX's 14th overall launch of 2025. This will be the 373rd Falcon booster reflight to date. That is the launch of a booster that has flown at least once before. This figure represents the booster reflight for the whole of Falcon family, which includes the Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy. For the specific number of the Falcon 9, I will be telling you guys in a while. 102nd orbital launch for SpaceX, launching from this pad, marking 196th overall orbital launch from Space Launch Complex 40. Now moving on to some reusability statistics. This launch marks 357th Falcon 9 booster reflight to date. So this is about the Falcon 9 specific booster reflights. And as mentioned before, there will be no landing attempt for the first stage booster with tail number 1073 supporting today's mission, getting expanded with this mission's need. Now, just for information, although there will be no landing attempt for this launch, some of the stats prior to today's launch, SpaceX achieved the 321st overall drone ship landing. 383 Falcon 9 landings have been made and 402 overall landings to date. Although today's mission doesn't involve any drone ship because there will be no recovery of the first aid, but on your screen is some of the stats for the drone ship prior to today's mission. Meanwhile, would like to welcome Fairmaid, one of our moderators here joining us. Fairmaid, how are you? Hope you are doing fine. It's early at your place again. Although it's 6:40 getting here, maybe you are heading towards your lunch, Fairmaid. But once again, thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining us for this stream and supporting us. Would like to thank all of you as well for joining us. And once again, would like to request you guys to indulge in chat so that we can know more about you. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask us. If you feel like we are adding value to your viewing experience, please consider giving this video a like. It really helps YouTube's algorithm bring in more space fans to discover this stream. Also consider about smashing the subscribe button and turning on the bell notification as we work hard to bring you detailed streams with stats and thorough insights. We would be super grateful for your support. Now let's have a look into some key stats for SpaceX launches in this year, including today's mission. With today's mission, SpaceX will be having its 14th launch of this year, and out of those, 8 were Starlink missions and 5 are non-Starlink missions, including today's one for commercial and government organizations. 13 reuse booster with this mission. Now, if we look into the geographical distribution of the launches, we get they will be having 9 launches from East Coast, 4 from Launch Complex 39A, that is Kennedy Space Center with today's mission, and previous 5 launches from Space Launch Complex 40 at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. On the West Coast, they have 4 launches from Space Launch Complex 4 East at Vandenberg Space Force Base. And as of now, only 1 launch from Gulf Coast at Starbase in Texas with the 7th integrated flight test and 1 super heavy booster catch. This year, as promised, we will be having more Starship launches, so hopefully we will be able to see more booster catches as well as the ship catch. Now for landings, they nailed it 12 times this year. Today's mission, there will be no landing. Once again, I'm reminding you guys. So they have, as of now, 11 drone ship landings, 3 on, of course, I Still Love You, 3 on Just Read the Instructions, and 5 on a shortfall acrobatas. For ground landings, only 1 for on landing zone 4. I guess for the upcoming Maxa mission, I guess that will be the Maxa 3 with the Worldview Legion 5 and 6 satellite launch. They will be having a landing attempt on the landing zone 1. Prior to today's launch, the success rate for ground landing is 98.78%. For drone ship landing, it is 96.69%, and the overall landing success rate is 97.10%. Would like to welcome Pop Tripika, another our moderator here. Hello, Pop Tripika. How are you? How is it going on? I know it's evening at your place, so thanks for tuning in. Hope you will be enjoying the stream. And I guess you missed the part where I described about the payload. But don't worry, don't have to seek back. I will be again discussing the payload details during the coast phase of the vehicle, because today they will be until they won't be like they will be deploying the satellite, the webcast will be continuing. So during the coast phase I will describe the payload. Now again, this page of stats are prior to today's launch, and what we have is 134 launches in a calendar year, which is the highest annual launches to date for SpaceX. But if we count in the Starship launches, then it's 138. 76 successful launches since last mission failure with Starlink 9-3 mission. Today's mission is the 77th launch since last mission failure. 61 successful landings since last landing failure with Starlink 8-6 mission. 294 missions with at least one reused fairing, and approximately 556 number of fairing halves were reused. We are just 1 minute away. So here is a pie chart including today's launch for the orbital launches. With this 21st orbital launch of the year, United States is leading with 14 launches, which includes one New Glenn launch as well, followed by China with 6 launches and one launch by India, marking their entry for orbital launches this year. And this pie chart on your screen shows 2025 orbital launches by rocket variation, including today's one. Falcon 9 having 13 launches with today's one New Glenn launch. China's Long March 3BE variant having 2 launches. Additionally, Long March 2D, 6A, J-Long and Series 1 rockets each having 1 launch so far. And others, that section of the pie is comprising ISRO's 1 GSLV Mark II rocket launch. For India, more 3 GSLV launches are planned as of now. I guess it's time for the webcast to begin. So let's move ahead to the webcast. Well, I don't know. Today's mission is a related to priority, like security launch for the SpainSat. I don't know whether they will be showing us the views from the second stage or not. Well, just a second. Yep, we got the feed. Let the webcast to begin. I will turn on the mission audio so that you can have their commentary to be heard. Adding value to your viewing experience is the top priority here at AstroYonder. So if you felt we somewhat achieved that, please consider liking this video, which really helps YouTube's algorithm bring in more space fans and helps others to bring this stream in front of them. Well, this is a cool new video, I guess. Well, they included that new view of the fairing separation as well in this video.
You're looking at a live view of 8:34 p.m. Eastern Standard Time from.
They are having some audio issues, I
Thanks
guess.
for logging in for the SpainSat NG-1 mission, SpaceX's 13th mission of the year. I'm John Innsbrucker, and I'm the Principal Integration Engineer for Falcon here at SpaceX in Hawthorne, California. Today we are launching the SpainSat NG-1 satellite to a geostationary transfer orbit on behalf of our customer, Hisdesat. Hisdesat is a government satellite operator and services provider operating secure communication satellites, synthetic aperture Earth observation satellites, and maritime monitoring. Hisdesat has provided Earth observation services with radar technology through the PATH satellite, which SpaceX launched on a Falcon 9 back in 2018. SPAINSAT NG is a new program developed by Hisdesat to improve the secure satellite communications and defense capabilities of the Spanish government, its allies, and international organizations, including the European Union's GovSatcom and NATO. SpainSat will cover an extensive area that ranges from the United States and South America to the Middle East, Africa, and Europe, reaching as far as Singapore. Now we're currently at T-minus 11 minutes 25 seconds and counting. We're looking good for an on-time liftoff. However, if for any reason we are unable to launch today, a backup opportunity is available tomorrow at the same time. But the good news is Falcon 9 is healthy, the range is ready to support, the weather's been good all day and continues to look outstanding. We're not tracking any concerns for launch in just over 11 minutes. And with that, let's take a look at today's Falcon 9. The two-stage Falcon 9...
Well, now they will be describing about the Falcon 9. Meanwhile, let me address Fabripika on the chat.
When it's fully loaded,
well, yes, that fading video is really awesome, at least better than the previous one which they released, and I will try to include it in our streams in the future streams. I wanted to, but didn't got much leisure time to do so, but I will be including that so that we can have that on our upcoming stream.
Now our payload today is...
And yeah, Joanne, maybe they don't have NVIDIA broadcast Paprika. It's just fine, but at least John is there. I like his commentary, how he described things. Really, I like him.
Now the fairing halves are then separated at about 3 minutes and 40 seconds into today's flight. They'll be recovered from the ocean for reuse. Now the fairing halves supporting today's mission are flight proven. One half is flying for its 8th time. The other half is flying for its 5th time. Now below the payload fairing, you can see the second stage. That's the part of the rocket that will take our payload to its destination orbit today. The second stage will ignite its single Merlin vacuum engine, or MVAC for short, at 2 minutes 50 seconds into flight. It'll relight a second time before we deploy the satellite. Below the second stage, you can see on the graphic the first stage. And it starts with the black inner stage, which is part of the first stage booster. The carbon fiber inner stage is that distinct black color. That's the thermal protection system on the outside of the inner stage. Now at the bottom of the first stage are the 9 Merlin engines. You can't see them in this view, but they are obviously at the bottom of the first stage, and they'll propel Falcon 9 off the ground up to the thinner parts of Earth's atmosphere. Now the first stage is designed to be reflown with minimal refurbishment between flights, with today marking the 21st flight for this particular booster. However, due to the performance required for today's mission, this will be the final flight for this Falcon 9 first stage. During its 21 missions, this single first stage has launched a lunar lander to the moon, critical supplies and research to the International Space Station, over 400 Starlink satellites to orbit, and much more since its first launch in May 2022. Finally, alongside the vehicle, the large truss structure you see, that's part of the transporter erector, what we call the TE. We use the TE both to roll the rocket out to the pad and then to raise it to its vertical launch position.
Well, just once again, I'm reminding you guys that today's booster is the one which got to be launched for the first mission for today, this year, 2025, for SpaceX on Thuraya 4 mission. Now, I just made the audio turned off because of content ID claims and copyright issues. You can have that video to be seen with the subtitles there. Although everything what they are mentioning, I did mention during the description of the payload description. On the right hand side, you can see those 6 steerable Ka band antennas. They are very, like, quite an interesting thing. Once again, would like to remind you that these antennas, the Airbus in Spain is responsible for the X-band payload, while Thales Alenia Space in Spain is responsible for the UHF and the Ka band payloads. And approximately 40% of the overall manufacturing process is being done in Spain itself. So that's a quite major quite a big milestone for Spanish space industry.
T-minus 4 minutes, 26 seconds and counting. We've just heard the call out, strong back lower has begun. It's actually a sequence that'll start with the clamp arms beginning to open. You'll see those right now in the monitor. You can see the arms are on the top of the second stage. We open those in preparation for the strong back pulling away from the rocket. And you can see the arms coming open now. Next up will be retract of the strong back. Now the transport erector we talked about has two components, the strong back that runs alongside the Falcon 9 and a launch mount underneath. The launch mount under the Falcon 9 has the 4 hold downs that release at T0. The strong back along the side is hinged to the launch mount, and it will rotate right now about 2 degrees away from the vehicle, and you can just start to see that motion beginning.
And there we go, the strong back reclining process has started.
Away from the Falcon, and that clears the way.
This is a slow process. You will be able to see those lines still connected to the payload fairing half, so which carries the air conditioning, electrical signals, and even the locks the fuel for the second stage MVAC engine. So it has to be done very carefully, and it takes a little time. So for that, this process is done slowly, so that those lines still connected to the payload fairing won't be getting stretched out.
Tank to finish loading. Stage 2 locks. The white clouds that you're seeing around the vehicle, they're formed as the chilled gas vents overboard to maintain pressure in the tanks as needed. Current temperature at the launch site's a balmy 63 Fahrenheit, 17 Celsius. And when the gas meets that warm Florida air, it condenses the moisture in the air and it forms those clouds.
Well, I guess probably guys for that NG1 mission, maybe they made it one only. But it doesn't feel, it seems like that it is an like mission patch or something. Maybe while during those refurbishment they made those signs and it stayed there. Can happen.
Stage 2 lock float is complete.
Locks load complete on second stage. That means the 1,000,000 pounds propellant is completely loaded now on both the first and the second stages.
Right now all propellants are on board. Falcon 9 is with 1,000,000 pounds of propellant. You can see we are beginning to vent down the pressure that was in the tubing on the strong back. That's why this white clouds coming out there, and it's absolutely normal.
There we go. The gas closeouts have begun. Next major event will be T-1 minute. As I mentioned, the Falcon flight computers will go into startup. One comment, I mentioned there were flight computers on both stages. During ascent, the second stage flight computer is the master. As we count down to T-2 seconds, we'll begin the Merlin 1D engine ignition sequence. The flight computers will command the hold downs to release at T0.
Falcon 9 is in startup.
Falcon 9's gone into startup. The flight computers are now controlling the launch vehicle. Falcon 9's looking good. SpainSat is ready to go. Falcon 9 team's working, no issues. The weather is excellent. The range is ready.
Launch director, go for launch.
And the launch directors go for launch. Let's listen in to the flight of SpainSat NG1.
There we go. SpaceX launch director giving go for the launch. So we are go for the launch of Falcon 9 and SpainSat NG1. Now let's see to the call out for the liftoff. Pyramid, I guess everyone is excited right now. And there we go, ignition is about to come.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, ignition, liftoff. Go SpaceX, go SpainSat NG1. Vehicles pitching downrange.
We did got some awesome views during the liftoff. T plus 20 seconds into the flight, Falcon 9 has cleared the tower. A successful liftoff. Good callouts as well. We did got vehicle pitching downrange callouts. M1EB chamber pressure being nominal.
Rumble as the first stage heads into space. We're throttling down right now in
Power
preparation
telemetry nominal.
for max Q.
Again some good call out.
Telemetry nominal reports avionics.
Right now, as John mentioned, that we are into the throttle bracket, throttling down the 9 Merlin engines preparing for a period of maximum dynamic stress coming up, and we did got call out for the vehicle being supersonic, which means that we exceeded Mach 1 on Falcon 9. Now next coming up is the Max Q. We through the period of maximum stress on the vehicle, we throttled the Merlin engines back up to full power. Now coming up is the MVAC engine chill.
To help go from vertical to horizontal, the first stage performed a pitch kick just after liftoff, about 10 seconds into flight, or what's also known as a gravity turn. The engines gimbal a small amount and that slowly turns the first stage.
There we go, we got the call out for the MVAC engine chill. Right now we started to chill down the MVAC engine on the second stage prior to its ignition just after stage separation. Coming up, 3 events in rapid succession: the shutdown of main engine on first stage, that is main engine cutoff, MECO, followed by second stage separation and ignition of the second stage MVAC engine for the first time, that is SES1.
Main engine cutoff, or MECO, you'll hear the call out, will shut down the 9 Merlin engines on the first stage. The pneumatic system, the stage separation pushers, will then push the first stage away from the second stage for stage separation, and the MVAC-D engine will ignite, and then fairing separation. For now, let's listen and watch for the events.
We are getting some good views today for the first stage.
Main engine cut off.
There we go.
Stage separation confirmed.
MVAC ignition.
We got the callouts for all back-to-back milestones, MECO, stage separation, and SES1.
Saw those events that happened back to back to back. We had main engine cutoff, stage sep, and second stage engine start number 1, SES1. Right-hand side, you can see the altitude and the velocity of the second stage. So far, I want to remind folks who might be waiting for it, as we talked about earlier in the webcast, the first stage will not be recovered today. You may have noticed that we removed the landing legs and the grid fins to decrease the mass of the stage. That'll provide the performance needed to put the 6 metric ton spacecraft into orbit. The legs and fins can be used on other boosters. But now we want to say to the first stage,
Fairing separation confirmed.
fairing separation on time. And for first stage that is on its way back to Earth, not for recovery, farewell, and we thank you.
21st flight for this booster Publica. It could have made more launches.
We'll be attempting to retrieve those halves once they fall back to Earth using our recovery vessel Bob. Now the fairings will orient themselves as they come back down with gas thrusters for entry into the atmosphere, and as they near the ocean, each fairing half uses a gas-powered deployer to release a parachute. The fairing computer will send commands that steer the fairings to the ocean landing, where the recovery vessel Bob will attempt to recover them. Now we've got a few minutes until our next major event, SECO-1, which is where we'll shut down our MVAC-D engine on the second stage in the parking orbit.
Stage 1 FTS was saved.
Coming up on 5 minutes, everything continuing to look good.
Today we are not getting any views for the first stage as it will be getting expanded. I guess they didn't mounted any onboard cameras as well for that.
5 minutes, everything continues to look well, look good.
But really, if that would have been interesting if SpaceX would have made a onboard camera for an expanded booster, so that we can get that footage that how it is getting expanded and getting destroyed or during the splashdown.
Just over 220,000 pounds of thrust in vacuum, stays constant during the burn, but as we burn off the propellant, the mass is decreasing. And so for those who remember force equal mass times acceleration, if the force is constant but the mass decreases, the acceleration is going to increase. For this first burn, the stack will be doing about 3.8 G's acceleration as we get to SECO-1.
John is something. He is such technical person. Really, I love him. This is what
6 minutes.
a commentary
Continuing
should
looking
be.
good on the second stage. SpainSat NG1 attached to the top of the second stage. We'll see some views from the forward-looking
Vehicles on
camera
a nominal trajectory.
a little later on. The GNC, the Guidance Navigation
I guess
Engineer, calling out the nominal trajectory for the stage.
if it would have been possible for John, he could have taught some physics over here. He could have took some physics classes for this. Really, he is such a knowledgeable man.
6.5 minutes into flight, continuing to look good on the burn.
Now at T plus 8 minutes, we will be having the MVAC shutdown, that is SECO 1.
Stage as we begin to get ready for shutdown at T plus 8 minutes and 1 second.
Well, they are saying T plus 8 minutes and 1 second, so that's more. So that means there will be this burn, it will be lasting for 1 minute and 4 seconds.
Stage 2 is in terminal guidance.
There's a call out from GNC. Second stage flight computer is now moving into a state where it's preparing for that second stage engine cutoff. We're calculating the velocity required to get to orbit. You have to understand how fast you're going horizontally as well as away from the Earth. And then we have to come up with the commands that are going to go to the actuators so that we can command pitch and yaw to make sure that the second stage aims itself, so to speak, to achieve the
Stage 2
desired
FTS
orbital
saved.
parameter. Now, final velocity for this first burn is aimed for about 7.5 kilometers per second. That's going to be just under that 17,000 mile an hour figure we need for a low Earth parking orbit. And 7.5 kilometers per second, that is the rule of thumb for the velocity.
Well, I did made a mistake, say you guys, that this burn right now we did got the call out for MVAC shutdown, that is SECO 1. This burn lasted for 6 minutes. Okay, I said it wrong.
And confirmation, nominal orbit insertion. We're through second stage engine cutoff number 1, SECO 1. We're right where we want to be in orbit. Now, the second stage, and we've got another nice view looking forward from the payload attached fitting up at SpainSat NG1. We'll have more views as we go through the webcast, but for now, we're embarking on a coast phase on the second stage, spacecraft still attached. Following this coast, we will relight the MVAC engine for a second time. That's going to happen around T plus 26.5 minute mark. And then about 4.5 minutes after that, at T plus 31 minutes, we will actually get to spacecraft separation. For that, we're going to halt the live commentary for a while. We'll be back in about 16 minutes at T plus 25, but we'll leave you with the visuals from space.
So now we can discuss some details for the payload while you guys enjoy the view. Should I be making the slide or not? Let me see if it is looking good or not. Well, that view for the it's short, but let me do one thing. Let me stretch, let me shrink this one. Oh, well, I can do so. Well, let's discuss here only. Let me just have that payload slide so that I can discuss about that payload. So on your screen right now, you can see some of the images of the payload during its manufacture manufacture process and during its transportation and different phase of the development. Now, let me just again repeat myself. I already explained you guys, but still, those who joined us now for a better understanding that what today's payload is about. So the SpainSat New Generation 1 is spearheaded by Hisdesat, a Spanish government satellite service company, which represents a significant advancement in secure military communication for Spanish armed forces, NATO, and allied friendly countries. More than 40% developed by Spanish satellite industry, this satellite is developed in collaboration with Airbus Defense and Space with Thales Alenia Space within the framework of a public-private collaboration between European Space Agency and the satellite operator Hisdesat called PACES 3. So this pact, or you can say this collaboration, is named PACES 3. Now the satellite program SPAINSAT NG consists of twin satellites, SPAINSAT NG1 and NG2, which will replace currently operational SpainSat and extra Euro satellites, which are close to the end of their nominal useful life. Together, they are designed to provide effective command and control in operation of the armed forces beyond the line of sight in two-thirds of the Earth. But today's payload is all about SpainSat NG1 satellite only, which will be probably replacing the extra Euro satellite. There is some confusion about the replacement, that which one it will be replacing, but to my best knowledge and my research, it seems like it will be replacing the extra Euro. Some sites are mentioning that it will be replacing SpainSat. Some sites are saying extra Euro. Even Wiki is saying it will be replacing SpainSat, but many other authentic and reliable sources are mentioning that SpainSat NG1 will be replacing the extra Euro. So I have gone with that. Now let's move on to the second slide about the payload. The SpainSat NG1 built upon Airbus's Eurostar Neo platform. It features two flat active antennas dedicated to X-band operations, 6 parabolic steerable antennas for military Ka-band communications, and 2 UHF antennas offering robust and adaptable communication capabilities across multiple frequency bands. Today's satellite will be operating not just on like in a normal Ka band, it will operate in military Ka band as well. This advanced communication system allows the satellite to operate effectively in X band, military K band, and UHF band, making it versatile asset for secure and encrypted communications. Now, Airbus in Spain, which I was mentioning previously, Airbus in Spain is responsible for the X-band payload, while Thales Alenia Space in Spain is responsible for the UHF and Ka-band payloads. Notably, the inclusion of the UHF band is a new feature to this NG1 satellite, SpainSat NG1 satellite, which was not present in the previous SpainSat fleet, offering improved communication operations for various military applications. SpainSat NG1 boasts a fully flexible X-band payload with active antennas capable of in-orbit configuration. This flexibility allows for electronic reorientation of the beam to meet dynamic coverages need. And about this, the CEO of Hisdesat was saying that It is a state of art as of now in Europe and most advanced technology there for satellites to have. And another notable feature of the satellite is the deployable palette of individually steerable Ka band antennas, which are 6 parabolic steerable antennas for military Ka band. And the X band active antennas, as I said, is the most challenging active antennas that have ever developed in Europe, positioning Hisdesat and Spanish space industry at the edge of the space technology. Additionally, an onboard digital processor interconnects the X and military Ka band payloads, facilitating cross-banding and rapid reconfiguration through a dedicated high-speed service link. The satellite's design incorporates advanced protection technologies as well, as this will be serving for military purposes, which includes anti-jamming and anti-spoofing measures, as well as it is hardened against high altitude nuclear events. And as I mentioned before during me describing the payload, that it has a capability of geolocating, that where from if someone will be having some illegal activity or anti-spoofing activities for the satellite, like on like using the satellite itself can locate that from where that activity is being carried out, so which is a very nice thing to have. Like it's like how our GPS works, you can say in a layman term, that to have that location. Now all these features collectively enhance the satellite's capacity and adaptability, ensuring robust and secure communication. For the power to the satellite, there are 2 deployable solar array wings and onboard battery systems, ensuring consistent energy supply. Although we didn't had any specific details for what is the dimension of the deployable solar arrays, so sorry about that, I can mention the specifications for them. And the coverage this satellite will be having, which extends from United States, South America, through Middle East, Africa and Europe, and reaching as far as Singapore on the Asian continent. This satellite will be positioned to provide extensive global coverage. Structurally, the satellite weighs approximately 6.1 ton, comparable in size to a minibus. And to maintain precise orbital positioning, SpainSat NG1 utilizes an advanced ion propulsion system, which is highly efficient for in-orbit maneuvering. This ion propulsion is quite what can I say, quite common in most of the satellite nowadays. You guys know even the Starlink is having that, using the argon as a fuel previously, which was using the krypton as a fuel. And today's payload, the SpainSat NG1 satellite will be positioned in a geostationary orbit at an inclination of 30 degrees west, offering stable and reliable coverage for its target region. Whereas SpainSat 2, which will be launched later on, will be positioned in a geostationary orbit at an inclination of 29 degrees east. And both these satellites has a operational lifespan of 15 years, keeping it in service until 2040. No, really, it's a big one, Pop Tripika, because at least as I mentioned about the figure, about the weight, that 6.1 tons. Okay, fine. And I think it is approximately 7 meters tall or some, yes, I guess like that. It's 7 meters tall. But you can see some of the images uploaded by Airbus on their X handle. I mean, there it is looking more like, you can have more good idea that how big it is. Although whatever like images I could find about the payload, I made them on those payload slides for you guys to have, and to have an idea about the satellite, that how it looks. So right now we are T plus 21, getting 22 minutes, and now the second stage is in a coast phase. We are now waiting for the next event, which is SES2, that is the ignition of the MVAC engines on the second stage for the second time in today's flight. During the last transporter 12 mission, we did had the restart of the MVAC engines on the second stage for 4 times. But today it's only 2 times. I guess that much of thrust is not needed for this payload, and also not just for the thrust, it is done the restarting of the second stage MVAC engine also to reach an desired orbit. So I guess with the second SES2, they will be done to have to reach their desired orbit for today's SpainSat NG1 satellite. Now we are, I guess, 3 minutes approximately. Yes, 3 minutes away from that event where the MVAC engine will reignite for the second time. We are getting some good views from the second stage, as it is now in a coast phase. And well, let me just tell you that that SES2, that the second ignition of the MVAC engine, that burn will be lasting for 1 minute and 6 seconds. Okay, which I got confused before, and I said that during the 6 minute of burn of the MVAC engine, I mentioned that it is for 1 minute and 3 seconds. I said it wrong. That burn lasted for 6 minutes, ending with the SECO 1. Now the next one, SES1, SES2, that will be for the long 1 minute and 6 seconds of burn, ending at T plus 27 minutes and 43 seconds approximately, marking the event SECO 2. And again, that after that we will have a short coast phase of 3 minutes and 41 seconds, and then we will have the payload deployment.
John Innsbrucker, live commentary. We're just past T plus 25 minutes. You're looking at a view of the MVAC engine as we're coming up in about a minute and a half on the second burn of that engine, placing the SpainSat NG1 satellite into the desired transfer orbit. A quick recap, we had an on-time liftoff at 8:34 p.m. Eastern Standard Time from 39A at Kennedy Space Center. Successful first stage shutdown, stage separation. We had a good burn on the second stage engine. We also had the fairing separation that we saw. Fairing halves back to the ocean right now, where they'll be recovered. One fairing half, that was its 8th flight. The other one was its 5th flight. We also then got into the desired orbit, and that's where we are right now, finishing up a coast phase. And we're just about 35 seconds away from relight of the MVAC engine for the second time and that'll propel the stack into the desired geostationary transfer orbit.
I really need a source that from where they are having this count that how many times a individual failing halves have been reused. As of now, I don't have any source, but
Right now for the last seconds as the flight computer counts down to the ignition of the engine.
Optipica, these snowballs are really dangerous. Remember during that 9-3 mission, really dangerous. Whenever I see this ice forming there, I get a little scared that again it's nothing, something bad happening. And there we go, we have the second time ignition of the MVAC engine. Now this burn will be lasting for 1 minute and 6 seconds.
This burn's going to last about 67 seconds. That's typical for a geostationary mission. If you're watching the speed gauge on the right-hand side of the display, you're going to see that we're going to add about 2,500 meters per second to the velocity of the second stage, which is still carrying the SPAINSAT NG1 payload on top. Now during this burn, as we continue burning off the remainder of the propellant, the acceleration will reach 4.8 G at the end of the burn. This is about 1 G more acceleration than we had on the first burn of the second stage when we had a lot more propellant on board. Engine now throttling down, decreasing the loads on the spacecraft as we're coming up, and we have SECO-2.
So now we will be again in a short coast phase of 3 minutes and 41 seconds approximately.
Nominal orbit
As it
insertion.
were good call out, we have a nominal orbit insertion.
Second stage in its second burn has put the spacecraft onto the desired trajectory. You can see right now 400 kilometers, 440 kilometers in altitude. We're headed to an orbit much higher than that. Next up, we're going to have separation of the second stage.
Now it's time for
SpainSat NG1
Fairmaid to enjoy the view, as she likes to enjoy the view of payload deployment. So be prepared, Fairmaid. It's coming up. Well, they again started to play music. Although it's 3 minutes kind of we are having, so obviously they will be having some music going on. Yes, I know, Fairmaid, you will be waiting. At least for payload deployment, you will be waiting. Yeah, I get until now how much we have been together. I got to figure out the most loving part of a launch of for you is to watch the liftoff, then the payload deployment. I guess so. Maybe I am wrong. Today Angry Bird is not here. I guess Angry Bird is really angry. There we go.
30 minutes, 32 seconds. Everything continues to look good. Welcome back to SpainSat NG1 mission coverage. Had a great mission so far. We're less than a minute away from payload deploy for our customer, Hisdesat. Now today's satellite will be placed into geostationary orbit at 29 degrees east longitude A second satellite, known as SPAINSAT NG2, will be placed in a geostationary position at 30 degrees west longitude later this year. And the SPAINSAT satellites will replace the existing SPAINSAT launched in 2006 and the XTAR EUR launched in 2005. The view right now looking up from the camera on the second stage mounted on the payload attached fitting. You're looking at the bottom of SPAINSAT NG1. And we're waiting for payload deploy.
And of course, yes, first stage return is the
SPAINSAT NG1 deploy confirmed.
and there we go, call out. We were waiting for confirmation of a successful payload deployment. Fairmate's one of the favorite part of a launch stream. And you didn't got to see the first stage return today. It got expanded.
Wrap up our coverage for today. All of us at SpaceX want to give a big thank you to our customer Hisdesat. We also want to give a shout out to the Eastern Range Kennedy Space Center and the Federal Aviation Administration for supporting today's launch. And as always, thanks
See that glow?
for logging on, and your
I guess it's for the sunlight.
Be sure to follow us using @SpaceX on X for mission updates. I'm John Innsbrucker. We'll see you again soon.
So there we go. We had a successful payload deployment for the SpainSat NG1 satellite, boosting Spanish satellite capabilities. Now with that, we will wrap up our coverage for now. We have an upcoming launch for that Blue Origin's NS-29 mission, which is a suborbital one, which will be simulating a lunar gravity environment for the payloads. It is uncrewed as well. Hopefully, although as of now we didn't got any official confirmation that it will be launched tomorrow, but according to those websites providing the launch schedule, they are saying that it will be happening tomorrow. Hopefully we will get an official update from Spain Blue Origin, excuse me. The SpainSat is now lingering on my tongue. So we will be streaming that. Be sure to tune in, and also be sure to check out our social media handle on X for the latest happening in space industry and updates on upcoming launches. We hope that you enjoyed the stream and we could add some merit to your viewing experience. We appreciate all of you joining us for today's launch. Wishing you a nice week ahead. Thanks for watching. This is AstroYonder Live and me, Dipto, signing off for now, and we will see you next time.